Aloha. Aho matakuyasin. Thank you, all my relations. Just here in the office, playing the drum. I just played the drums. And wow. I wished I'd already been recording because that was pretty powerful. And so I figured I'll just start off playing a little bit. I wanted to talk about the thing I just posted. So and I've already tired my arms out playing, so here I'm just okay. So hopefully the sound works good. Not even close. Getting a little closer. Wow, this feels so good. I haven't touched this thing in freaking months, and I'm like feeling it. You know, I come back to Ukiah now, my hometown, and where ganja is acceptable. You know, people are able to explore their consciousness through the use of plants. I mean, you know, obviously not necessarily the psychedelic or entheogenic plants like mushrooms and ayahuasca and stuff, but it happens. You know, people are in general more conscious and open to things, and in a place where particularly cannabis is accepted, you find the consciousness of people is more loving and accepting. And you know, when I was just in New Orleans, and down there's debauchery and drunkenness, and you know, you can be slosh drunk on the street, especially in the French Quarter, and it's no big deal. You know, unless you hurt somebody, you're fighting or something, then you go to jail. But you can be just passed out, drunk, and just slobbering all over the place, and just debauchery. You know, nudity even accepted, and it's just a big party scene. I mean, yeah, you know, there's that's a big party scene, and it's not my vibe, but so what I see is the people are more, there's just much darker energy. It's like this oppression, you know, how don't you dare, you know, possess a plant from nature. Let's, you know, destroy ourselves with the poisons of the machine world, and you know, let's suppress our spirit, because that's what alcohol does. The spirits, to an extent, to the extreme, the alcohol, especially the hard booze, which we call spirits, this has an effect upon our bodies to kind of disconnect the spirit from the physical body. So in contrast to that, we here, and especially where I'm at here now in the Mendocino Environmental Center, let me just give you a little overview of this is the front door. We're downtown Ukiah. Across the street is the courthouse. And, this is kind of a community space. Right below me here under the stairs is the, I don't want to go down there right now, is the radio studio, where we do local community radio. There's a tower on the roof that sends out 75 watts of power. It's considered a low power license because it's like, less than it's about a light bulb's worth of electricity that be a little better, more lighting. So what was I saying? Because this is it's such a blessing to have this place. I'm here almost with the run of the place. I'm here by myself now, and I got this space to hold a few boxes of stuff right now, and it's such a blessing to have this, even though there's, I'm right in the heart of downtown. It's a small town, so at night time it shuts down and it's quiet, and which is nice. But so anyway, I just feel this the general consciousness of people, even conservative types, is generally, at least the people I've met, and I've been here 3 years or more, this recent journey that I've been here. I was here another time for about 5 years, and I was born here in this town. Lived here for the first 5 years of my life, give or take, and been back a few times. So anyway, the general consciousness of people is more open and accepting of diversity and differences, is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, not to ramble on too much about that, I just wanted to just give thanks, give a little some sounds there from the drum. I'd like to make more actual musical pieces, possibly with voice. I just haven't found that inspirational motivation as yet. But I just made a post, and it's kind of a deep, long rabbit hole post, but I started off with saying 2 of the things that man used to believe. Man used to believe. Ah ha ha, those dumb cavemen that used to believe these things. Well, in that day, we called them wise men because of it, because of their knowledge. And these 2 things are that the earth is flat, and the knowledge of the stars, or what we call today astrology. It's the astrology, the star study or star knowledge, the study of the language of light, the light beings, the electromagnetic beings that are in the sky, in the firmament, if you might want to use that word. But there's wheels within wheels above, and there's a central pillar. Mount Meru is called in the I think the Vedic cosmologies. There's all these motifs and symbolisms for the world tree. The Nordic mythology is the world tree in the Yggdrasil. So there was a day when a man or woman that knew the language of the stars that others called them wise. And there was a day when man knew the earth was flat, not a flat, non-moving plane, center of the universe. And today people laugh or mock and pat themselves on the back because of how advanced we've become. We have psyops like NASA and the government to tell us what to think, yet they give us only CGI and cartoons to keep us hypnotized and believing that Earth is a spinning ball, and believing all kinds of ridiculous monkey-brained things that we never actually know, as the wise man knows. People mostly believe what they have been programmed. And then I pulled up a Wikipedia article. I can't remember what I was searching for exactly, but the article I got to is Biblical Magi. And I guess because I was searching for wise men. And this came up, this article, and I don't particularly, Wikipedia, I hold my red flags and my salt handy to, not take Wikipedia, especially because it is like the go-to source, like this is our source of information. But it is still useful. There's there's information here that can still be used. So I do use Wikipedia. But like I said, keep your red flags on one hand and your salt shaker in the other, because don't believe everything you read on Wikipedia. So, quote here from Wikipedia's article on Biblical Magi. Although the account does not mention the number of magi, the 3 gifts has led to the widespread assumption that there were 3 men. In Eastern Christianity, especially the Syriac churches, the magi often number 12. Their identification as kings in later Christian writings is probably linked to Psalm 72:11. Quote, may all kings fall down before him. Unquote, a biblical verse. The Magi are properly referred to as the wise men and kings. The word Magi is the plural of Latin magus, borrowed from Greek magos, as used in the original Greek text of the Gospel of Matthew. I'll make this bigger. It's brighter. The Gospel of Matthew. Greek magos itself is derived from Old Persian magus, from the Avestan maguno, i.e. the religious caste into which Zoroaster was born. The term refers to the Persian priestly caste of Zoroastrianism. As part of their religion, these priests paid particular attention to the stars and gained an international reputation for astrology, which was at that time highly regarded as a science. And again, I'm quoting from Wikipedia, and I say that because in their other article on astrology, they say it's largely regarded as a pseudoscience today. But at one time, and it says in that article, at one time it was regarded as a science. It's a piece of, it's knowledge. That's what science, science. It means to know or knowledge. Their religious practices and use of astrology caused derivatives of the term magi to be applied to the occult in general and led to the English term magic, although Zoroastrianism was in fact strongly opposed to sorcery, which I see as black magic. I tend to just, my first thought of defining that word, sorcery, is a black magician who uses his powers of manifestation to cause harm or to cast hexing spells, or to cause harm, basically. The King James Version translates the term as wise men. The same translation is applied to the wise men led by Daniel of earlier Hebrew scriptures, Daniel 2:48. The same word is given as sorcerer or sorcery when describing Elymas the sorcerer in Acts 13:6-11. And Simon Magus, considered a heretic by the early church, in Acts 8:9-13. Several translations refer to the men outright as astrologers at Matthew chapter 2, including the New English Bible, Phillips New Testament in Modern English, 20th Century New Testament, Amplified Bible, an American translation, and the Living Bible, various translations. Versions, I should say. Although the Magi are commonly referred to as kings, there is nothing in the account from the Gospel of Matthew that implies that they were rulers of any kind. The identification of the Magi as kings is linked to Old Testament prophecies that describe the Messiah being worshipped by kings in Isaiah 60 verse 3, Psalm 68:29, and Psalm 72:10, which reads, "Yea, all kings shall fall down before him, and all nations serve him." Early readers reinterpreted Matthew in light of these prophecies and elevated the Magi to kings. So it was extrapolated, not literally in the text. That's what it's saying. By AD 500, all commentators adopted the prevalent tradition that the three were kings. Later Christian interpretation stressed the adorations of the Magi and shepherds as the first recognition by the people of the earth of Christ as the Redeemer. But the reformer John Calvin was vehemently opposed to referring to the Magi as kings. He once wrote, quote, and if you don't know who John Calvin, he's one of the Protestant reformers that was, I think, burned at the stake by the Roman Church, the Catholic Church, the Vatican, as an heretic. Because how dare you oppose the authority of the Pope? So John Calvin is quoting here saying, but the most ridiculous contrivances of the papists on this subject is that those men were kings. Beyond all doubt they have been stupefied by a righteous judgment of God, that all might laugh at their gross ignorance. Unquote. So that's what I got from the Wikipedia article on biblical magi. And then I typed in a search in the King James. I tend to go to the King James because that is the authorized version, and this is very important concerning matters of law. The president and judges, it's in the courtrooms. It's it's always this foundation of the president puts his left hand on the Bible, the King James Bible, and he raises his right hand and makes his oath. He takes swears an oath to the Creator, to God. Because this is a Christian. The West is Christian. It's the East is the Islam and the Judaism. That's in the East. But they're all peoples of the book. So anyway, this book, the King James. So I did a search for the number 12, or the word spelled out 12. And it came up with 165 references. KingJamesBibleOnline.org is where I searched it. 12, spelled out, Twelve. And I copied and pasted a few in the comments here. 12, there's always 12. 12 sons of Abraham. Made up the 12 kings of the 12 tribes of Israel. Isis equals moon, Ra equals sun, Elohim equals Saturn. The basic structure, the polarities of the zodiac. The 12 tribes of Israel made up the 12,000 each tribe, equaling 144,000. There are 12 oxen, 12 chargers of silver, 12 silver bowls, 12 spoons of gold. All the oxen for the burnt offering were 12 bullocks, the rams 12, the lambs of the first year 12, with their meat offerings and their kids of the goats for sin offering 12. Numbers 787. 12 rods, and the rod of Aaron was among their rods. 12 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. 12 fountains of water. Most all of these are direct copy-paste quotes from the King James Bible. And some references are there. Joshua 3:12 says, "Now therefore take you 12 men of the 12 tribes of Israel out of every tribe of man." Joshua 4:2, "Take you 12 men out of the people, out of every tribe of man." There's 12 stones, 12 cities with their villages. 1 Kings 4:7 says, "And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household, each man his month in a year made provision." 1 Kings 7:25, it stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east. And the sea was set above them, and the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. Thought that an interesting verse. It mentions the 4 directions and 3 the 3 and 4s. There's 12 oxen. There's 3 of them looking north, 3 looking west, 3 looking south, 3 looking east. 3 times 4 is 12. First Kings 7:44, "And 1 sea and 12 oxen under the sea." 1 Kings 10:20 says, "And 12 lions stood there on the one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom." This is symbolic. All this, and I see the whole Bible as a metaphor. It's a story allegorical story of the cycles of the zodiac, basically speaking. It's the cycle of the star, the sun, moon, and 7 visible or 5 other visible planets. So, luminaries, electromagnetic beings, angels, messengers of the gods, if you will. These manifestors of the physical realm, as it were. The spirit, the essence, the one source comes through the 5 visible messengers, and then finally manifests the ego through the sun, and the heart and emotions through the moon. And they shine their light upon the terrestrial plane of Midgard, the garden of Eden here. It's called Earth, heart, an anagram of heart or hearth, wherein physical reality is manifested as beings of bodies and animals and stuff. Physical, material manifestation takes place. So reading on in the Bible, the 12 lions, let's see, 1 Chronicles 9:22, "All these which were chosen to be the porters in the gates were 212. These were reckoned by their genealogy in their villages, whom David and Samuel the seer did ordain in their set office." Did you hear that? I'm reading that again and that's 1 Chronicles 9:22. "All these which were chosen to be the porters in the gates were 212. These were reckoned by their genealogy in their villages, in their signs, their energies, their manifestations, whom David and Samuel the seer did ordain in their set office. Each one has its set office, its place in the cycle. Oh, and I put in brackets here because it's repeated 24 times after the names of the sons. You know, they name various sons. I didn't put who it was here exactly, but it's Chronicles chapter 25. First Chronicles chapter 25, I think. It could be second. I didn't put the number before Chronicles, so there's First and Second Chronicles, but it's chapter 25, and it's repeated 24 times, 12 times 2. And it's, quote, after the name of the son, it says, he, his sons, and his brethren were 12. And it repeats that 24 times after each son, the names of the son. So 2 Chronicles 9 verse 19, it says, and 12 lions stood there on the one side and on the other upon the 6 steps. So that to me shows the 6 on one side and 6 on the other side. And if you think of it as a sine wave, the royal arch on the top, and then it crosses the horizontal line, the equilibrium point where the equinox happens. So when it starts on the one side and it goes up and arcs, and then it crosses the horizontal plane and goes underneath in the underworld. And on each side is 6 modalities, 6 signs of the zodiac, and there's 3 qualities and 4 elements that make up the various signs. So that's what that said. 12 lions stood there on one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom, made without hands, because it was created by the Creator. Moving on other quotes, there are 12,000 horsemen, 1,200 chariots, 12 years old. This is a repeating motif throughout the New Testament and Old Testament. Most of I wrote here, all the wise men and kings were 12 years old when they began to reign and to teach. And as I show a few references here later, there was, 12 years old was these girls that were being healed. There are 12 pillars in the Temple of Solomon. Ezekiel 43:16 says, and the altar shall be 12 cubits long. This is the altar in the Holy Temple. The altar shall be 12 cubits long, 12 broad, square in the 4 squares thereof. Now moving on, I guess, to the New Testament, there's 12 disciples of Jesus, and they're often referred to as simply the 12. The 12 instead of, there weren't, a few times it says apostles or disciples, but it's often refers to them as the 12. Matthew 9:20, and behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years. Here's a woman that was diseased for 12 years. She came behind him and touched the hem of his garment, and as the story goes, was healed. Matthew 10 verse 1, and when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, He gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sicknesses and all manner of disease. Matthew 14:20. And they did all eat and were filled, and they took up of the fragments that remained 12 baskets full. This is referring to the story when Jesus fed the 5,000. And there was 12 loaves and 2 fishes or something like that, and they put the 12 loaves of bread in 12 different baskets, and the 2 fishes, which is kind of a symbol of Pisces, that the ending sign, but also preparing for the new beginning. It's the disseminating of, it's the integrating and disseminating of all the 12 signs, as because it's the end of the cycle in my hand movements. But Pisces is the mutable water sign, and it's the symbol of the 2 fishes. Anyway, it's such deep stuff here, but moving on. Matthew 19:28 says, Ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Mark 3 verse 14, and he ordained 12 that they should be with him, and that he might send them forth to preach. Mark 5:42 says, And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she was of the age of 12 years, and they were astonished with great astonishment. This is the young damsel, the girl, I guess, that was healed. Luke 2:42, and when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. I think that is referring to Jesus. When he was 12 years old, he began his ministry, or he began to preach in the temple or something like that. Luke 8:42, for he had one only daughter, about 12 years of age. That was the same, I think, or another similar daughter, where a man whose daughter was sick, he asked Jesus to come heal her, and that's just what that reference is. The man only had this one daughter, and she was 12 years of age. John 11 verse 9, Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. And now into Revelation chapter 7 verse 5. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. That's G-A-D, but God. The tribe of God. And this repeats through the next several verses of all the 12 tribes. That saying, that of the tribe of this Judah, there were sealed 12,000. So each of the 12 tribes, there were 12,000 who were sealed. 12 times 12,000 equals 144,000. And now to Revelation 12, 12 verse 1, talking about, and there it says, And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now in Revelation 21:12, or the whole chapter, and the next several verses are from Revelation chapter 21, 12 through 21. Although not all of them, but just read that if you want to reference this. I just pulled out the ones that mentioned the 12. And had a great wall, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates. This is talking about the New Jerusalem, or the New Earth. The New Jerusalem. A wall great and high, then had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Israel. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, and it, as it were, transparent glass. And now in Revelation 22, verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life. The tree of life now, which bare 12 manner fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Do you hear me now? And if you're stuck in the anthropomorphized, literalized thinking about these references, or if you're at the opposite side of, mockery and, it's just a dumb religion, well, I hope you will reconsider and think again, because this is allegorically speaking of the 12 signs of the zodiac, the science, the very real science of the wise man who knew the language of light, who could understand the language of the electromagnetic beings which we call stars, the astro. The 12 tribes. So, wow. I think I'll leave this with that right now, because that was a lot already. And end it with some sounds. Aloha and aho matakoyasin. It's a Lakota term. It means thank you, all my relations.